Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online series 11 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really fun team featuring Zygarde, built by a Japanese player called Tempest. They actually used this team, I believe, back in Series 8, and they were able to get to number 8 on the ranked ladder with this team. So it's definitely one of the strongest Zygarde teams I've seen, and I'm really excited to try it out. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps linked in the description below. And thank you to Tempest for the team. There's also a team report for this in Japanese linked in the description below, as well as a rental, as you can see on the screen. So, Zygarde's an interesting Pokemon in this format. It's not used very frequently because it just isn't as strong of a restricted overall, right? Like Zacian, Calyrex, for example, Kyogre, these Pokemon all give you really good damage output immediately from turn 1. Whereas with Zygarde, like, it often sits on the field for a very long time. It has to take a little bit of time to get going, especially because you've got Coil on this set. And even after a Coil boost or two, you're still not really, like, picking up one-hit KOs across the board. However, the main value in Zygarde is that this is an incredibly bulky Pokemon and is very difficult to knock out. Yes, you're weak to Ice, yes, you're weak to Fairy, and Dragon, those are all really common typings, but if you can, set up a Reflector Light Screen with Grimmsnarl, get a single Coil boost stop, or even get Zygarde to get special defense boosts or defense boosts via like Max Quake and Max Steel Spike from the Metagross, then the Zygarde just becomes tankier and tankier and eventually becomes this like late game monster where even if it's not like picking up knockouts turn after turn, your opponent can also can't really deal with it very easily. So Zygarde on this team is interesting because it's actually not a primary max option. Zapdos and Metagross are by far the best max options with this team. The Zapdos is the most offensive thing on the team and can just one-shot a lot of potential Pokemon. It also just gives you good typing across the board and it's quite speedy. Metagross is also really nice, especially with the Assault Vest. AV Metagross is fun just because when people see Metagross, they often get scared and play around a potential weakness policy. And so you can use that towards your advantage, and your opponents might often try to ignore Metagross or attack around it until its Dynamax is over. And so AV Metagross is already really tanky. You've got Max Steel Spike and Max Quake on it to further increase its defenses. And then Grimmsnarl can also reflect and Light Screen respectively to make it even bulkier. Do know that this is actually Trick, Lagging Tail, but you're running both screens as well. So it's a fun combo and a fun mix of the sets, instead of something like the Light Clay, for example. Trick is really nice just because it really allows you to shut down a big attacker, and given the Zygarde, given that you get Substitute on the set as well, if you can trick onto something that normally outspeeds Zygarde and KOs it with like a super effective attack and get the Lagging Tail onto that Pokemon, it really opens the way for Zygarde. So, you've got Zapdos, you've got Metagross, you've got Volcarona as well. All of these Pokemon are on the team because, obviously Zygarde doesn't love going up against Zacians, and Play Rough is a decently common move on Zacian nowadays. And so, all of these Pokemon can give you a pretty good Zacian matchup, right? Zapdos can one-shot it with Max Flare, Metagross can Max Quake it, Volcarona can redirect attacks away using Rage Powder, and can also burn it with Will-O-Wisp or just Heat Wave it. So, Zacian is obviously one of the most common restricteds in the format, and you have good answers into it. Finally, you've got this Porygon 2 with Analytic, Foul Play, and Eerie Impulse. This is, one of the two common Porygon 2 sets. The other is just classic download with, like, Ice Beam and Tri Attack and, all the classic offensive attacks. But I really like this Porygon 2. I think Eerie Impulse is so nice with this team because this team isn't designed to just win the game in 4 turns, right? Games are going to go on a little bit longer, and you really want to play towards all the bulk that you have. So Metagross can increase Zygarde's bulk. You've got Grimmsnarl to set up screens. You've got Porygon 2 to shut down special attackers. Trick Room into Eerie Impulse is an incredibly powerful combination as well because a lot of the strongest attackers in the game are special attackers, but they're also often faster, right? Things like Kyogre, Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Venusaur, Charizard. And so with Porygon, it's like you can survive an attack, set up the Trick Room, and then shut them down with Eerie Impulse. So I would say that you're primarily going to max the Zapdos and the Metagross, but Zygarde still can be a really good max option. It just has to be very situational. You should often think about maxing Zapdos and Metagross more, but that doesn't mean discount the idea of maxing Zygarde. And so there are a lot of possible lead combinations you can go with, right? Like I think Grimmsnarl is generally an effective lead. The couple times you want to watch out for are when your opponent has a faster Fake Out user and something that can just KO Grimmsnarl immediately, or if they have Psychic Terrain that can obviously stop you from going for Trick, so be careful about that. And I would say with Zygarde, obviously you have to cover for its main weaknesses. So, you can either use it early game if you don't think your opponent has much offense into it, or save it for the late game. Eliminate like the 1 to 2 really big threats to it, especially Dynamax, right? If you can stall out Dynamax, Zygarde is so much stronger afterwards because it doesn't have to worry about getting one-shot by max moves. So, yeah. Overall, I think this is just a really interesting team. It was very high ranking as well, so I'm excited to just dive into it. So, thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please share support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, I want to know if if you've been playing any VGC in BDSP. I do plan to do more in-game battles in that shortly. I was, away for the last couple of weeks, partially, you can tell by the recording environment now I am back home. So I'm going to try to, get some more teams together and get more battles in there as well. So yeah, let's get started. All right, first game of the day, and we are up against the Kyogre team. Dusclops Ferrothorn, okay. So it's interesting because you obviously have like a pretty fast mode with the Lucky Kyogre Urshifu, but then you also have a Trick Room mode with Dusclops Ferrothorn, like Kyogre Incin. Zygarde is not bad here. Obviously has to worry about Ice Beam from Kyogre, but Coil is quite nice, Substitute is quite nice here as well. AV Metagross has Max Lightning. We've got Eerie Impulse on Porygon. I think the main thing to ask here is like dealing with Ferrothorn actually. So like one of Zapdos and Volcarona. We'll need to bring one of the two, and it'll probably be Zapdos because we do have Heat Wave on it. So like Zapdos isn't a bad max option. What's the scariest lead for my opponent? Probably something hyper fast like Kyogre plus Regieleki. I don't mind a Zygarde lead here actually. I want to bring all my Pokemon in this one. The only issue with Metagross is like it's really good against Kyogre and Regieleki, but quite bad into everything else. Okay, I'm actually pretty interested in Grimmsnarl plus Zygarde, and then Zapdos in the back with Porygon 2 as the final Pokemon. I think one of the key win conditions for my opponent in this matchup is actually going to be playing towards their Ferrothorn. So we'll want to make sure we cover for that. But this team is interesting because you've got a hybrid of, like a lot of Kyogre teams, I feel like that I've played against or used recently have been a little bit more hyper offensive, right? Just like very fast paced. This Kyogre probably has some bulk on it rather than just like max HP, max special attack. This is actually a really good lead for Zygarde. Okay, this is pretty cool. Because the Regieleki can't touch Zygarde, right? Which is really helpful. Wish I had Taunt right now on Grim. That'd be cool. Okay. Well, I am down to go for a Coil turn 1. I think I'm actually down to Coil and just Spirit Break here. I don't want to Trick, because I ideally want to Trick whatever's coming in. I could see the Volt Switch and a Grimmsnarl, and then I would get a Spirit Break onto whatever comes in. Could be Kyogre, could be Ferrothorn. I guess Ferrothorn coming in would be kind of annoying, right? If I were my opponent, I would Volt Switch into Grimmsnarl, Trick Room, and then go out into Ferrothorn. Okay. Well, I'll still Coil Spirit Break this turn. See what they go for. I'm going to guess it's Dusclops, Regieleki, Kyogre, Ferrothorn. Oh. Wow, that is interesting. They're actually going to choose to Dynamax Regieleki in front of Zygarde. Well, I guess I should have clicked Light Screen then just to cover for this option. I mean, I'm generally okay with it, but it's probably, what, a Will-O-Wisp coming out from Dusclops then? It could also be Helping Hand Max Strike. Wow. Oh no, they just go for Lightning. Okay. That is not how I expected this turn to play out in the slightest. I mean, I'm generally okay with this, I think. It just feels bad because I missed out on a opportunity to either get a Light Screen or a like Trick Off, but I don't know. I mean, like now we have this Zygarde, and you can't really deal much damage to it other than a Helping Hand Max Strike, but I can just max Zygarde to get around that. Okay, so I'll bring out Zapdos. I guess the interesting thing here this next turn is like me protecting Zapdos is a fairly obvious play. So maybe they max guard with their Regieleki. I do think I need a max now though to deal with this, so just because I don't think I can, I'm not sure if I can take a Helping Hand plus a Hyper Beam right now. Or Max Strike, I should say. That's a very interesting turn one. Feels like if I just gone for Trick or Light Screen, like if Grimmsnarl survives the turn and we get screens up, like then I wouldn't even have to max the Zygarde here. So I don't love maxing it, but it's okay. We can use Max Quake against everything that's not Dusclops. Kyogre coming in is a little bit scary. Okay, they're not going for a Max Guard, which is exactly what we want to see. So we should knock out the Regieleki here. And even if they Max Strike Zygarde, it's fine. We'll survive. But very interesting. Okay, they just go for Lightning on the Zapdos. Cool. That's so much damage. This is like the most value I would have ever expected Regieleki to get given the lead. So really high risk play on my opponent's end, but it pays off really heavily, honestly. I still feel okay about our position. What's interesting now is if you actually just bring out Ferrothorn immediately, like I actually have enough HP to survive one big attack. And by big attack, I mean a Nightshade from Dusclops. Meaning that I could get a Heat Wave off, and that in itself would be valuable. Kyogre coming out would make some sense, but with the Dynamax and the special defense boost, I should survive an Ice Beam, I would think. Yeah, but it's just Kyogre. Okay, I think we switch Zapdos out into the Porygon here. And then just Max Quake into Kyogre. It's funny because you like barely Dynamax with Zygarde with this team, but this is just a unique scenario where we needed to. I like switching out into Porygon too because it gives me a special defense boost on that, right? Allowing me to take attacks better from the Kyogre. Okay. Just Helping Hand. Could be Helping Hand Ice Beam, maybe Helping Hand Water Spout. Yep, they just go for Spout. Almost KOs Porygon, but that's fine. All we need is a little bit of HP because now I get a Max Quake off. Your Water Spout damage is significantly reduced. Oh my gosh. That almost just one shot. Okay. You know what? Not bad, Zygarde. Not bad. I've got leftovers. So I've got another Max Quake now. It's actually pretty interesting targeting Dusclops here because I can 1,000 Arrows to KO Kyogre next turn anyway. So I'm actually down to Recover here and then Max Quake into the Dusclops slot. Mainly because, wait, how slow is their Kyogre? Also, that was really scary because they actually almost still knocked out Porygon too. Wait, is Dusclops reversing Trick Room here? It has to be, right? I don't see what else it can be going for. That's an interesting decision if so. Cool. Well, Porygon manages to hang out with 4 HP. That was very scary. Us fainting there actually could have been really ugly, but now it's pretty difficult for them to actually KO Porygon. And yeah, they reversed Trick Room. I think the idea here was to reverse this and then they can... Oh, they... Wait. Did Trick Room end? I thought they just reversed it. Oh, they never set up Trick Room, did they? It's so funny. In my head, this whole time, I thought Trick Room was just up already. But it clearly wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, because they'd spent all their time attacking with the Regieleki. That's funny. Well, I'm just going to 1,000 Arrows here. And I'm down to just reverse their Trick Room right now, honestly. Maybe Dusclops goes for a Nightshade or Pain Split, but that's fine. And it's just going to Nightshade into Zygarde. Yeah, but we just outspeed the Kyogre as we saw. Cool. I guess it was a little bit risky because there was the opportunity for Kyogre to potentially have gone for like Ice Beam earlier, but or an Origin Pulse to just knock out the Porygon. But yeah, we're just going to reverse their Trick Room. That's so funny. Honestly, like in my head, I thought Trick Room had gone up just because it's so rare to go up like this many turns against the Dusclops and for Trick Room not to go up. But Zygarde was amazing in this one. Mainly because like, yeah, my opponent just didn't have like that much damage output into it outside of the Kyogre. And then they just committed their Dynamax really early. Like, yes, committing a Dynamax to a Lecky can be strong, but the Lecky just can't do anything into Zygarde specifically, right? So we actually end up transforming. We're at +3 special defense, +1 attack, +1 defense, which is all amazing. And then, yeah, there's Ferrothorn as the last one. So this is perfect, right? This is exactly why we wanted to conserve the Zapdos in the back. So there's still 2 turns of rain left, so all we have to do now is just make sure we KO the Dusclops. Rain then is stalled out, and then the Wincon is just hitting a single Heat Wave. It's a little bit scary because, of course, we can miss Heat Wave, but I also don't think Ferrothorn can one-shot Zapdos. You would need to Leech Seed, Protect. So right now, my opponent's win condition against the Zapdos is, yeah, me missing Heat Wave, them hitting Leech Seed, and then getting a double Protect off. I think that's their only chance of winning right now. And even if they do that, if you're not going for Iron Defense, then I can just keep coiling up with the Zygarde, which is really nice as well. So, yeah. Okay, Zygarde's gonna get the 1,000 arrows off. Beautiful. Doesn't KO Dusclops, but Foul Play will finish it off, which is perfect. Now I would think Ferrothorn maybe just starts going for Iron Defense. If they do start Iron Defensing, it's pretty interesting because I don't want to hard switch into Zapdos, right? I want them to just pick up a knockout right now, but they actually just go for Gyro Ball. Okay, even better. And Zygarde just takes no damage. So yeah, what an amazing Zygarde game. You very, very rarely Dynamax with Zygarde with this team, but I actually needed to because of the threat of Dynamax Regieleki with Life Orb and the Helping Hand. So yeah, we can just go for 1,000 arrows now to Foul Play. Yeah, it's such an interesting decision for my opponent to Dynamax Aleki because, like, even if, you know, you have a really strong turn 1, which is what they ended up having, you're still super weak to Zygarde, right? So you're essentially, like, I think Max Guard could have been really scary on turn 2 with Aleki because you bait out my Zapdos' Protect, then you get a knockout onto Zapdos as well, so then it's like Regieleki is guaranteed 2 knockouts in 3 turns, and that's actually pretty impressive if you get that off. But fortunately enough, like, they didn't, and so we were able to conserve Zapdos, still have another Pokemon, and Zygarde was able to just put on a clinic here. So, yeah. I could have maybe played a little bit better when we were up against the Kyogre, and I think I'd still switch out Zapdos there in that position, because you have to cover for Scarf Kyogre. Yeah, and I really needed to conserve Zapdos there, so I wouldn't have changed how I played that turn. It was just the turn where Trick Room went up, and I was like, wait, didn't it go up? Which is kind of funny. But ultimately, Zygarde was just super, super strong here. So I'm very pleased about his performance, and let's just keep it going. All right, this is a really interesting team for the next one. They've got Excadrill and Torkoal. So there's no, like, Tyranitar, no Charizard, no Venusaur. Dialga, Incin, Dragapult, Porygon. Wow. Okay. I mean, Zygarde feels good, but obviously has to worry about the dual dragons from my opponent's end. Those are both pretty scary. I think Porygon's really strong here thanks to Eerie Impulse and Foul Play. So I can shut down Dialga with Eerie Impulse and also Foul Play Dragapult for really good damage. I'm really curious what my opponent leads here. Instant Dialga? Instant Dialga would actually be pretty powerful here, I would think. I don't think I'd bring Zapdos. Volk would be maybe a little bit tempting if they did not have Incin. I mean, it's like cool because of Will-O-Wisp and a Dragapult and Excadrill, but I think it's probably just Grimm, Zygarde, Metagross, Porygon. I don't really like Zapdos. Really offers us not nothing, but very little, and then Volk like would primarily be for a Heat Wave and Excadrill or a Will-O-Wisp. I just don't love leading Grimm when they can go with Incin plus something. So honestly, I'm down for Porygon and Metagross just because it's pretty bulky here, and then Grimm and Zygarde in the back. And the cool thing here is, even without Dynamax, Metagross can actually take attacks decently well. The only hesitance of leading Grimmsnarl is if they lead Incin plus Excadrill, Incin plus Dialga, then my Grimmsnarl is just going to get sniped off by a Fake Out and a Max Steel Spike, and then Porygon doesn't offer anything, right? So if they didn't have Incineroar, I think I'd always lead Grimmsnarl here because Trick is so valuable in turn 1. But because they have Incin, I just can't really risk it. I'm going to go Porygon 2 and Dragapult. Okay. Do we even max the Dragapult here? You could Phantasm Foul Play Metagross turn 1. That's what I'm most worried about at the moment. They also got a download boost. Maybe they don't have Foul Play, but still. I'm down to switch Metagross out into Grimmsnarl turn 1. And I'm also down to Trick Room here. Just because I think it's pretty rare that they're going to click Trick Room given that they have Porygon out on the field. A Max Wormwind shouldn't KO my Porygon. Even if you double up with Life Orb, Max Wormwind, and Ice Beam, I think EVLI Porygon 2 still takes that. So, conserving Metagross. Metagross is just by far the best offensive tool against my opponent's team, and it's very good defensively as well. But I don't want to Dynamax and just take way too much damage on turn 1, right? So, that's the idea about conserving it here. Obviously, one thing to note in this matchup is just Ice Beam from Porygon 2 with Zygarde. They're going to commit the Dynamax turn 1, which honestly I'm really okay with, because, yeah, I mean, Dynamax Dragapult under Trick Room isn't that scary. So then the main question I have is Porygon 2's moveset here. Can you actually one-shot my Porygon, or I should say two-shot it with Dragapult and Porygon combined? Let's see. Max Flare. Thank goodness I switched out. Max Flare typically comes from, you know, special fire type attacks. So, actually, I wonder if it's special pulse or mixed pulse is my question. Yep, and there's the foul play. This is exactly why we switched out. Pretty interesting, though, because they are running download and foul play, which is a little bit more rare. But the reason that play is smart is because it covers for weakness policy Metagross. So it's like normally you're a little bit scared attacking a policy Metagross, but in this position, my opponent can do it with more confidence. Okay, I'm down to foul play into Dragapult here. I'm actually pretty intrigued by going for Trick onto the Porygon instead. I could set up screens here, but foul play into Dragapult's pretty good damage. Max Guard was a possibility, and the main thing is getting rid of Eviolite from Porygon I think is really valuable for us right now. Okay, here's foul play. Still really good damage. They just go for another Flare. I don't even know if that KOs us. Oh, we hang on with 6 HP. That's amazing. And they're going to reverse Trick Room. Okay, perfect. So this allows me to even get a screens up, which I think is really neat. Would I rather Reflect or Light Screen right now? Probably Light Screen. I mean, Torkoal, Dialga, Porygon, those are all special attackers. Maybe they have Excadrill in the back, but Excadrill and Incin aren't that scary if they're not Dynamax, then Zygarde can easily handle both of those. So I am just going to foul play Dragapult here, and then go for a Light Screen. Yeah. The first two turns could not have played out any better, honestly. Like, we've gotten so much value. We've stalled at our opponent's Dynamax. We even get a Light Screen up before we faint. I don't even know if... Like, Dragapult has spent 3 turns of Dynamax, essentially. Oh, it actually flares the Porygon as well. Okay. Works for me. I mainly wonder if foul play picks up the knockout here. I think it's pretty close. Nice. Beautiful. Wow, that's amazing. Grimstar probably goes down now, but we also get to... Well, they should actually foul play here to not reveal any more information, but maybe they want to cover for a switch in. But I think foul play is just by far their best attack there anyway, because nothing on my team really resists it. I don't think you'd really need a fish for like an Ice Beam. Okay, so we stalled their Dynamax. We got Light Screen up. We haven't seen Ice Beam yet, potentially. What are the remaining Pokemon that they can go into right now? Excadrill, Torkoal, Dialga. Don't mind going out into Zygarde right now, I think. That's Dialga coming in. Am I gonna end up maxing Zygarde again? Honestly, might be the scenario too. Okay, I don't mind going for an Eerie Impulse here onto the Dialga slot. I mean, Max Quake is tempting. I honestly think Max Quake here is okay. I'm gonna Eerie Impulse the Porygon actually, Max, and then just Quake into Dialga. I guess my fear is their weakness policy. Okay, you know what? I actually don't mind playing this turn a little bit safer by going for Eerie Impulse on a Dialga and then a Protect on the Zygarde. The worst case would be like they survive Max Quake, I end up activating a weakness policy, and then they one-shot Dynamax Zygarde with like a Draco Meteor. Or an Ice Beam, at that matter. So, yeah. Okay, cool. And now this just puts us in such a fantastic position, right? Because I don't have to worry about Dialga. Well, Dialga could still like crit us, I suppose. That's the one fear. They foul play too, perfect. Okay, now I think it puts us in a really good spot. You have foul play, that also makes me think you don't have Ice Beam. Okay. Honestly, I am down to just foul play, and I'm actually going to end up maxing Zygarde for the second game in a row. It's so funny, like, with this team, you're not really supposed to max Zygarde because Metagross and Zapdos are both such strong options, but just so happens to be really good for us right now. Yeah, and their last one's Torkoal, perfect. The other cool thing here is that my opponent didn't have a switch in into Max Quake, right? Which is why I wanted to go for it. Your remaining Pokemon, you've got like Dialga, Torkoal, Excadrill, and Incineroar. Like, those are all 4 Pokemon that are weak to ground type. So Zygarde is just really good in this matchup. We just had to like weather the early storm. And yeah, like the main thing is just like there was relatively little downside to switching out Metagross on turn 1. Whereas if we stayed in and we get knocked out, that's obviously a disaster for us. Now we get all these special defense boosts. That's obviously really valuable. Max Quake almost one-shots Torkoal. Super, super close there. But that's fine. And now we get special defense boosts on Porygon. That's the other really nice thing about this team. You make Porygon so difficult to knock out. So if I'll play now, we'll finish it off. Beautiful. There's just nothing Porygon 2 on my opponent's end can really do. Like, Trick Room is fine, right? Because I'll just Eerie Impulse your Dialga now. So unless your Dialga is like carrying an Iron Ball for some reason, then there's really no way out of this. And even if they are, like, this is Zygarde now Dynamax with the special defense boost. So I don't even think a Draco Meteor or an Ice Beam KOs us. But I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating Dialga's damage output here. I'm actually not 100% sure about something like that. Either way, in this position, we should outspeed with our Porygon 2, so we are just going to click Eerie Impulse into Dialga, and then also just Max Quake into that slot. That should work out well for us. Don't really see any way around this for my opponent. This matchup was interesting because we don't have any Dragon-type attacks, and so obviously on paper... I guess actually one thing to have worried about there is an Ally Switch, but even if they Ally Switch, it's honestly fine. They had Roar of Time, but that might be one of the saddest super effective attacks I've ever seen. given the like base power of Roar of Time, jeez. Like, this is what I mean, right? Even if they had Ally Switched, Roar of Time still would have done so little damage because of the light screen and because of the Max Quick Special Defense boost. And Zygarde just being so tanky to begin with. So, we're going to Foul Play. Great. That does no damage. And Zygarde continues to heal up. We've just run into two unique matchups where Zygarde just actually ended up being the best Dynamax option. Doesn't happen all the time, but pretty funny to see. We can just split our damage here. I would think Foul Play gets a knockout, even if it doesn't. Like, there's just no way my opponent can handle Zygarde at this point. Yeah. They needed a crit Roar of Time there, but even if they get the crit, I still don't think they can really win, given the Metagross and the Eerie Impulse here. So, this team is fun, right? Because it's like, you don't necessarily pick up one-hit knockouts. I didn't even get a coil off with the Zygarde, but with the combination of Max Quakes and Light Screens and Eerie Impulses from Porygon 2, we put Zygarde in a position where, like, it's really difficult for my opponent to actually knock it out. And so, yeah, like, you know, one thing that's really important in Sword and Shield is being able to identify when to Dynamax and who to Dynamax. And even though Zygarde is not really the typical max option with this team, in both of the games that we've had today, it was just the best option, right? Like, we were put in positions where our opponent couldn't really deal that much damage to us. We had gotten rid of the main threats to Zygarde, and then we can start chaining these special defense boosts. And you can just see how tanky Zygarde can be, especially with Light Screen or Reflect support. So, yeah, two really fun games with it. So, let's look for one final one. Final one of the day, and it's another Dialga, but Gothitelle, Porygon, Togekiss, Ditto, and Landorus. Initially, I think Metagross is going to be really good here. Zapdos could be interesting, but I don't think it's the most consistent Dynamax option, especially because it barely does anything to Dialga. Volcarona is actually interesting to me here for Will-O-Wisp onto Landorus. Anytime you're up against Gothitelle, you also have to just really respect them potentially trapping you in from turn 1 of the game. Something like Gothitelle plus Swords Dance Landorus could be really scary, or Gothitelle plus Crit Kiss. I don't mind leading Porygon here because I think the combination of Foul Play, Eerie Impulse, and Trick Room is really strong. I could go Grim. I don't want to lead Zygarde. Do I just go the same 4 Pokemon all 3 games today? It might be the case. Grimmsnarl could be strong, but it's really weakened to Gothitelle plus something like Metagross. So I don't want to just give up Grimmsnarl for no reason. And if I were my opponent, I would actually prioritize knocking out Grimmsnarl early game. So, once again, it's going to be the same 4. I don't know. I don't love Zapdos here because my opponent's 2 main max options are Dialga and Landorus, and Zapdos doesn't exactly win hard against either, whereas Metagross is very good against both. There is a chance what would be a disaster here is Helping Hand Gothitelle plus Life Orb Max Quake Landorus-T on turn 1 of the game. But they're going to go with Dialga. Okay, cool. It's a lot better to see here. So I'm generally okay with this, mainly curious about how fast Dialga is. Turn 1, it's pretty free to go for a Max Quake. It could be Weakness Policy Dialga. Could be a little bit scary, but I am fine going for an Eerie Impulse immediately into Dialga and a Max Quake, I think. Now, the one thing to worry about here by going for a Max Quake is that Dialga could switch out. Okay, wait, I actually maybe should think about that a little bit more. If you're my opponent, I think the scariest play is probably fake out into Porygon 2 and then pivot the Dialga out into Landorus-T to start this game. I could go for a read and Max Hailstorm there. That would be kind of cool. I don't think they're switching out here, but I'm still down to go for it. Yeah, they're staying in. That's okay. Hailstorm's still okay. The main downside is I don't get a special defense boost. One other thing that I just thought about too is that's kind of stressful right now is that Gothitelle can Hypnosis, which I really don't love. The main thing there is if I don't cover for Landorus switch it because I'm not assault vested, or because I'm assault vested on Metagross, and if they actually get a free switch into Landorus, it's really bad. So it's like here it's still fine. I get some chip damage onto the Dialga. Not getting a special defense boost though does hurt because there was the potential for Porygon to just survive another attack, but now I probably get to it KO'd, which is not ideal. See, they go for a fake out. Yep, okay. I mean, fake out plus Warm Wind or Steel Spike into Porygon makes the most sense here. Yep. Oh my gosh. Okay, actually, even if we had gotten a special defense boost, that would not have helped. That's because it's Life or Dialga. Yeah, makes sense. This is why I didn't want to lead Grimmsnarl, by the way. It would have been really weak into this. But I guess leading Porygon was also pretty weak, because I just got sniped by a fake out plus an attack. Is my Metagross faster than Gothitelle right now? Let's check by Hail. They're faster. Oh man, if they have Hypnosis and they hit, this is probably just game over, honestly. I mean, how else could I have led to beat this? I feel like Dialga just actually has a pretty favorable matchup. I can't really bring Zapdos. I guess I could have led Zygarde, but what do I even do, right? Like, I have to worry about just getting one-shot by Dialga early on, so... Yeah, I think God plus Dialga is just an incredibly effective lead. Especially because of the fact that it's faster than me, meaning it can get boosts before I can. Okay, well done by my opponent. Yeah, if they have Hypnosis here, this honestly I think is already over if they hit it. And I feel like they probably do. Fake out Hypnosis. It's just such a strong combo of attacks. It's an interesting decision to Worm Wind there, just because you're never dropping my attack anyway, and you know I can't switch out, so they actually give up a free special defense or free defense boost, which I'll take. Nah, they have Hypnosis. The only way I could have gotten around that was by clicking Max Lightning on turn 1, so I also didn't know how fast their Gothitelle would be relative to us, but I think that makes this so hard to win now. Although, you know what, it's not over by any means, actually, because we can trick Lagging Tail onto the Dialga right now. Yeah. And, like, AV Metagross is actually still really good into my opponent's entire team composition, so, yeah, this isn't over by any means. I think we can definitely still pull off a comeback. We just need to wake up sooner than later with Metagross. Like, if we get a wake up here, we're actually in great shape, assuming you knock out the Grimmsnarl, because then I get a free switch into Zygarde, right? And then Dynamax ends on both ends. I think the scary thing going into this matchup, where there are so many different factors... Oh, and they have Ally Switch. Yeah, I mean, it is by far the best, like, Gothitelle moveset, right? So, makes sense. So it's Ally Switch, Fake Out, Hypnosis. Yeah, that's a really difficult set to go up against. We're Focus Sashed. It's so unfortunate. Like, we'd actually get value from Sash of Hailworn up right now. But, like, this is why Gothitelle can be such a good Pokemon, right? It gets so many good utility attacks. My opponent played it really well overall with it as well. I think they basically played a perfect game other than Worm winning Porygon rather than going for a... let me stay asleep, yeah. So much about this game was also whether or not they hit the Hypnosis, I think, because they had missed... like, the Metagross would actually be in a pretty good spot. We get all these boosts, but now I probably just get one-shot by Dialga with Zygarde as well. I guess I had to Max Lightning Gothitelle turn 1. That's a hard play to make. I wasted a special defense boost, but it actually didn't really matter. So it's what? Fake Out, Ally Switch, Hypnosis, and then Trick Room, Foul Play, Psyshock, Taunt can all work for Goth as last options. Man, I don't even think we outspeed with Zygarde. There's no chance, right? They're probably just max speed. I think my best bet is Protect and then hope for a critical hit with Slumping Tantrum on the Dialga. Okay. Oh, it's Helping Hand is the 4th one. Got it. Yeah, I need a... Or for Zygarde to actually end up outspeeding Dialga here, but I'd be kind of surprised. It's Blizzard. Okay, that's even worse. So let's see if Metagross takes a 3-turn sleep here as well. Okay. Even if we wake up, we're not KOing them, I think. Oh, let's see. No, I mean, they're at what, +2 defense? There's no chance. Oh, but with Hail we do. That's huge. Okay, we're still in it. We're still in it, because Dialga was their best answer to Zygarde by far. It's just so scary because of this Hypnosis from the Gothitelle. But the thing is, because now we got the lagging tail onto it, I do outspeed with my Metagross. What were the remaining Pokemon? Togekiss, Landorus. Landorus would be probably the scariest thing here because you just bring it out Helping Hand EQ. Although if you Helping Hand EQ, I can actually coil up. So, yeah, this is still definitely a game. Oh, they bring Ditto out. Okay. That's probably the best Pokemon for them to have. Okay, so this is interesting. Because you can obviously just Helping Hand and Thousand Arrows, or you could Thousand Arrows Hypnosis. I want to go for Coil. Oh, I guess I can't protect with Metagross. I need to attack with this. I would think Helping Hand and Thousand Arrows KOs my Metagross here, so if I'm my opponent, I'm just going for that. They could also mess up and... Because you could protect. I'm just going to go for the Ice Punch. But I don't think we survive here. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, they went for Protect. The other play I was thinking about was Thousand Arrows plus Meteor Mash into Gothitelle. They're going for Hypnosis, so if they miss, I think we actually... it's not a guaranteed win, but we're in a fantastic spot. Quick Claw, okay. Wow. And they hit another Hypnosis. Oh, but they target Metagross. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. If they missed there, we would have been in such good shape. But I also could have gone for Thousand Arrows and Meteor Mash into Gothitelle, and that also would have put us in pretty good position. So it's a speed type between the Zygardes. That also makes this really awkward, because, like, I want a sub, right? Here's the thing. If I lose the speed tie, that would be good for us. Because, I mean, you would waste the Hypnosis. I mean, they might also just Helping Hand here. I'm going to go for sub. They actually just went for Thousand Arrows. Okay, without going for... We do lose the speed tie. So they didn't go for Helping Hand, which is really interesting. This means we actually survived the turn, but yeah, it means now Metagross, like, it's just going to faint next turn. I could have Meteor Mash Gothitelle because we knew it didn't have Protect. Okay, cool. They Hypnosis and it fails. That's good. I mean, they can just go for another Thousand Arrows now and then a Hypnosis again. I think I will just Thousand Arrows here. Yeah, it comes down to basically like how many Hypnosises they hit. They've already hit 2. Quick Claw activates. It doesn't make a difference here between the Zygardes though. This is why, like, you know, I do have an answer against it, right? It was clicking Max Lightning on turn 1 of this game to set up Electric Terrain. Oh, wait, did they not break Disguise there? Or not Disguise, Sub? Oh, they didn't. Wow, I didn't even realize that. Okay. That's huge. We get an Avoid, but that's not the right time for an Avoid. Jeez, this is kind of wild. See, the thing is, now I want them to outspeed me, because then I can get another substitute up. Is it correct to go for Coil here? If we lose the speed tie and I get this sub up, it's huge. Is there any point in going for 1,000 Arrows? It's not going to KO anyway. This is like please let them win the speed tie or let Quick Claw activate. It's slightly more in their favor to outspeed me thanks to Quick Claw. No! Oh, okay, I mean, I could have just gone for 1,000 Arrows, because then like, I still can play towards the Hypnosis miss, but, oh, man, that's frustrating. Okay. They do miss Hypnosis, finally. So we'll take that. This is crazy. Like, this game felt like it was over from the beginning, but now it is not. Okay, now I'm going to sub. So what's interesting is they haven't been going for Helping Hand at any point, but this turn, you might want to consider it. I'm also so curious what my opponent's final Pokemon is right now at this moment. Oh, they switch out to try to copy boosts. Ah, the last one's Porygon. Okay, if they have Ice Beam on it, I mean, I can't really win against it, right? Well, between Leftovers, actually, still doable. I can't really, like, I don't want to boost my Zygarde any further, though. It's the turn that I lost the speed tie. I could have gotten a coil up, and that would have been a game changer, or 1,000 arrows. I should have just gone for that instead. Okay, the ally switch. I'm actually very okay with that. I'm very surprised about that, because I wasn't going to go for anything other than 1,000 arrows anyway. Trick Room now, maybe? It's just foul play. Okay, well, that doesn't even break sub. Is Zygarde really going to pull this off? The fact that it's foul play and not Ice Beam, by the way, is also a huge deal. This is so crazy. Alright, they go for Helping Hand now. That's generally okay. Should I have gone for another substitute there? Maybe. Okay, well, you finally break my sub, but do you not have Ice Beam? Or Trick Room on Porygon? I don't know. I'd like to sub here. Porygon probably recovers, right? It's a... Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit risky because if they actually just Ice Beam here, I lose. So I think I maybe should have subbed, but then I would also potentially lose to a Hypnosis play. Now the thing is, I just knock out Porygon next turn. So if you're just going for foul play here, we'll survive, and then you'll actually change forms as well. Okay, and they foul play. Wow, that's huge. They don't have Ice Beam. Oh my gosh. This is an amazing Zygarde game. Really an amazing Zygarde episode, honestly. I didn't think we'd get so much value out of Zygarde today. I'm so happy about it, because I played a couple of practice games with the team, and like, I just ran into like the worst Zygarde matchups imaginable, but we had a pretty lucky streak of like restricted matchups. Wait, so does Ditto copy the transform Zygarde form? I would think so. I've never seen this interaction before. But this means now that Porygon can't recover, and I have Leftovers, whereas they don't. Okay, so they do copy us. Well, I'm just gonna 1,000 arrows again, because I really don't want... I just want to eliminate Porygon. Like, they didn't click recover at any point. What a fun game. Okay, we outspeed on this one. This turn wasn't really important. It's really the subsequent turns where it matters. They're gonna go for Coil of their own. Okay, I mean, you can't heal, though. I think the main thing right now is that I just keep going for 1,000 arrows. There's no point trying to pace... Like, because they can't heal. We know they're Quick Claw. So, yeah, I'm just going to 1,000 arrows here. Because they're playing towards a crit, essentially, at this point, right? It's a Zygarde 1v1. The odds are slightly in their favor to attack first because they have Quick Claw. But I have Leftovers. Meaning that I can heal back 1/8 of my HP every 2 turns, right? So I think because we have Leftovers, we have significantly more HP, and they have no recovery, we should just win this game, barring a bunch of crits on my Zygarde right now. It's also scary, right? Because I don't know who's attacking first, and it's slightly more in their favor. Timer is one thing they could play towards right now as well. That actually might be what they're going for. I don't think that benefits them, though, because I have so much more HP. They go for Protect. Okay, that doesn't really benefit you, because you just allow me to heal. I feel like you never get value out of Protect. Like, I could have coiled, I could have subbed. I got Leftovers Recovery, so kind of surprised by that Protect, but okay. I think what they're playing towards is a timer win con where they get a critical hit onto me. Go for sub. Huh, okay. Man, if we had won the speed tie there, then we just win the game immediately, because you don't even successfully get substitute up. Oh, we actually just break the sub anyway. Okay. I'm actually kind of surprised about that. I didn't think it would break the sub. I'll take it. It is single target now, rather than spread, so that obviously helps. Now the game is just over. There's nothing you can really do. Even if you crit here, it's fine. They just protect again. Yeah. I could have gone for sub or coil, but I didn't really feel any need to, because, like, there's nothing they can really do against all of these 1,000 arrows. But I guess it could have been a little bit scary if they did end up, sort of, like, the sub didn't end up getting broken. This is crazy, though. Wow, what a comeback by Zygarde. Them not having Ice Beam on Porygon 2 made things substantially easier for us. And then, like, you know, they had Togekiss and Landorus. Those would have both been pretty bad for our Zygarde to go up against as well. So, like, we ran into the perfect, like, combo of Pokemon in the back for Zygarde to pull off this comeback as well. But what an episode for Zygarde. I'm so pleased about his performance. And so, yeah, shout out to Zygarde, because it really put in an amazing set of games today. And, you know, I definitely think it's a little bit tougher to execute in this format, especially with so many strong restricteds that can match up well against it. Like, you know, it's interesting, actually. I say so many strong ones, but you actually have a decent matchup against a lot of the more common ones. Zacian's scary because of Play Rough and Behemoth Blade. Kyogre and Calyrex you can deal with Max Quake and Light Screen support from Grimmsnarl. So, yeah, I mean, that was just such a fun set of games. So I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. And, yeah, I'm really impressed by the Zygarde team, so hope you try it out yourselves. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, so thank you so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.